All right, guys, we got the new Blackmagic PYXIS right here. Right next to it is the Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K. This is kind of a full circle moment for me because my whole video career started off with the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, but I have a bunch of cool, fun shoots lined up for the PYXIS. But before we do that, we have to do our usual test. So first off, I'm curious how much it's going to differ from the Cinema Camera 6K. And then second, we'll go over rigging and we'll touch base on everything. I am recording on the new iPhone 16 Pro Max with the new FreeWell cage system here. I have a Bluetooth record button on this grip over here. And we also got FreeWell's 1.55x anamorphic attachment there. So, and again, I have a lot more fun shoots planned for the PYXIS, but everything we're about to go over is kind of like the usual stuff I do when I get a new camera. Kind of have to go through the paces and do like all the boring tests to see what you're working with. So before we get into the juicy stuff, let's obviously go over why Blackmagic designed the PYXIS. Let's start off with the screen on the side because I know this was like a big thing for a lot of people here. So at some point, Blackmagic started to give us little flip out monitors on the back of here. This is great. Even when I was using this though, I still have an external monitor on here usually because when you're doing run and gun stuff, you can't just base it off this axis here. You need an external monitor. You're going to see some other issues, especially when it comes to anamorphics and stuff, why, you know, even this isn't still enough. So when Blackmagic revealed their PYXIS, everybody's like, why would they put the screen on the side, blah, blah, blah. Because this is, again, the form factor of the cinema camera is made to be rigged out, to be built out. Yes, you can keep it kind of minimal like I'm doing right now, but this is purely just an operator's monitor basically. So yes, you could use it to, you know, monitor your image. It's good enough to do that. But go look at any other professional cinema camera on there. The Red Komodo X has a little tiny screen on top. Some other cinema cameras don't even have any screens on there, but the ones that do, they have little tiny screens on there so you could control your menus and the settings and all of that. That's all this is. I think where people are getting confused is the fact that Blackmagic still gave us a high quality bright screen on it. Again, this isn't supposed to be like some key monitor for you to monitor your image off of. That's why you have external monitors. Pretty much every professional out there or budding professional, you know, we have external monitors. So my first camera was the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. That's the one that really got me started in my whole video endeavor. And a lot of the stuff that I shot on that camera is still some of my best stuff because Blackmagic RAW is just so freaking amazing. It's one of the best RAWs out there. I would say second best, honestly. The red RAW pretty much takes the cake. And then when it comes to a lot of like the mirrorless cameras that have RAWs, it's really a big notch up for mirrorless cameras, but it still doesn't touch Blackmagic RAW or red RAW. And that camera specifically, again, the Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, was where I really learned how to color grade and really find my look because there's so much just data in the Blackmagic RAW that you can push and the colors are just so beautiful. So again, coming full circle to this body and form factor right here, owning a Z cam, owning multiple reds, you know, this form factors ended up being a nightmare. There's a lot of cowboy shoots I was on where my camera would just crap out because all of our ports are over here and I would end up ripping ports out. It randomly would just shut off on me. The battery life wasn't great on any of them. So while Blackmagic is creating really unique cameras for us and all of us like run and gun filmmakers all the way to, you know, being on sets, it was still kind of a nightmare because this is like the shape of a football. Now we have this. This is a proper cube form factor on here and we have all these melting points that comes with it. So Blackmagic sent me this. So I don't know, this side plate was in a separate package. So I don't know if it's going to ship with it or not. But just that alone gave me everything I pretty much need to rig my DJI LiDAR setup on here. And then you see up here, pretty much the top plate matches the bottom plates. We have all these 1/4-20s and these 3/8 mounting points. So I was still able to put some NATO rails on here, my LiDAR attachments, like you're still kind of able to rig this out of the box. For batteries, it takes BPU batteries, which I believe is the same battery that's in the SONY FX6. Kind of smart on Blackmagic, because anybody who wants to go over to, you know, Blackmagic and get proper internal RAW, you're gonna be able to use our same batteries. You do see I have an adapter right here, but I do have some like cheapo BPU batteries. I think this was like 40 to 60 bucks, something like that. This has worked just fine so far. But since we're doing, you know, more boring studio stuff, I thought I would just put out this adapter on there. So I'll put links to everything on there. Now, before we jump into showing off the footage and, you know, testing to see if the image quality is going to be compatible or not, I want to talk about one of my biggest gripes as an anamorphic shooter. You can see we're in the 6K open gate. I have two Blaze Arcados 85mm. There's some caveats to this. This was a pre-production model I have right here. It could differ a little bit in image quality and just a bunch of other things. And then this one's the final production unit, but we are shooting it through a Morphoge Poco. So there is a piece of glass in here, so that could have an effect on image quality. So I thought, you know, we would try to balance out the odds here by pre-production on there, but with the cleaner P out, no glass, to the production one, but with a piece of glass between it. So this isn't a test on like, you know, lens and sharpness, more of like color fidelity and dynamic range. But anyways, back to this. So you can see we're in the 6K open gate on here. If I go to my monitor to the Anamorphic D-Squeeze, that's all we have. We have 1.6x on the D-Squeeze. That was kind of an annoying thing. If you want to get 2x on here, you have to go to the 6.5 anamorphic mode, go to your monitor, and then it gives you 2x, but it doesn't give you any of the stuff in between that. And then if we go over to the PYXIS here, and if I run to the anamorphic options here, you'll see we have all of them. So we have the 1.33x, 1.5, 1.6. All the Suri people are going to be really happy about that. 1.66, 1.8, and 2x. So we have all the D-Squeeze options. So guys, I highly recommend the Angelbird CF Express B cards. One last thing I'll touch on these cameras here. You see I do have the battery group on here because the battery life with these NPFs are horrible, like insanely horrible, especially if you're buying like the off-brand ones. They die literally. I feel like they get 10 minutes of life and it kills the battery. I don't know if you can see on here, but while I was setting up, I was just letting the cameras heat up, just, you know, to get the sensors warmed up, and 2 of the batteries already died out. This one was fully charged at the same time. Let's see what the V mount's at. You can see we're at 80%, so it's taking about 20% while this has killed 2 batteries. So I don't know what the deal is with that, but obviously, you know, this is a 100-watt V mount. I don't know, you know, to do with that information as you want. We're at 3200 ISO on both cameras here. White balance, everything is matched, including the focus peaking. They're both at 50%. What's interesting is the focus peaking on the Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K. This has always been an issue where the noise, it picks up in the shadows a lot. And so I would have to go and try to lower down the focus peaking. On the new PYXIS, again, it's all the same settings. It's just overall, there's a cleaner image to it. I don't know what they did, but we're not getting any of that focus peaking noise in the image there. So, all right, let's get into the actual image quality tests now. So what we're gonna do here, I'm gonna do 2 exposures in this setup. One, I'm gonna try to expose for the interior and see how we can push the image in post. After that, we're going to expose for the exterior and see how much we can lift the image in post and see if there's any image quality difference. There's a lot of colors in here.
All right, guys, I really didn't do anything fancy. These are really crass tests here. I'm doing kind of my typical workflow. I know some people are going to be annoyed at that and that I'm doing like a film emulation and blah, blah, blah. But again, this is a personal test for myself, so I want to do a similar setup with really just like, you know, horrible lighting, basically, just to really stretch the image out. Let's get into it. I'm just going to go and lower the highlights here. I want to see how much of that window we can recover in the background over there. So you see we're -3 stops. So even though technically that looks overexposed, you know, we still have some good highlight recovery there. From there, I'm going to go into our shadows. Going to lift those, and then I'm going to lift the blacks as well. A lot of the times when we see those dynamic range charts and tests, they're kind of reading it off of this exposure. But if you go and you start stretching your exposure in post, you'll see there's a lot more data. Once again, those charts will start telling you, oh, this noise, it's like unusable, like that's just throwaway information. They're incorrect. If you throw on even just the most slightest basic noise reduction, look, I don't even have it that high on there. It really cleans up the image to where you can stretch it. Obviously, I'm going way overboard on stretching this. But again, this is just so we can see what the image is doing. So this is the image off the PYXIS. Now let's just paste that color grade over. And this is on the Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K. You can see overall, there's not that big of a difference. I've seen a few things of people saying like the image quality might be better on the PYXIS. I mean, from this, you know, just half-baked tests, I'm personally not seeing too much of a difference. We can zoom in on our highlights. Again, this is the PYXIS. This is the Cinema Camera 6K. I'm not seeing too much difference in the color or even the highlight recovery. Let's go to our noise. Even in there, I'm not seeing a huge difference. Again, that's the Cinema Camera 6K. That's a PYXIS. Now, I can already imagine people are also going to complain that I shot this at 8/1 compression. And again, that's just the compression I use. And this is kind of a test for myself. And I think the way I use it, a lot of other people probably use it similarly. So all these tests were also done at the second base ISO as well. Last test here, I'm not going to show the before and after. Let's just copy the settings over. This will just be of skin tones, obviously. Let's punch into my skin over here. So again, these are being stretched, you know, just to see all the image, noise reduction on and off. This is the PYXIS. This is the Blackmagic. I'm not seeing a big difference at all. Like at all, guys.
All right, guys, now we're back on the standard iPhone lenses. We're monitoring on the DJI SDR transmitters here, going straight to the iPad and Wi-Fi. Cool thing that's coming out, I have a beta firmware for this right now that gives us anamorphic de-stretch. Now, again, what's cool about the PYXIS is we're de-stretching through the camera and it spits it out through the SDI. So I don't need to worry about trying to use any de-stretch or anything like that on external monitors. I could do it through the camera. I was using the Nanlite 500 watt bicolor. We're only at 10% on it though, and that was purely just to add some kind of fill light in here. Be mindful, I was running that, so this isn't just like pure daylight being pumped through the window here. But that's all I want to show off to you guys. Again, nothing crazy in this video. I just think a lot of people are interested in this and wonder if it's time to, like, you know, try out a Blackmagic camera or to switch over from your cinema camera 6K. I will say the PYXIS is like the dream camera we've all wanted from Blackmagic, and I think any confusion that might happen from this camera are people that aren't used to an actual cinema camera form factor and what it takes to rig it and to run them. This thing's going to be a little bit more heavier, but you're going to be able to make more balanced rigs with less, you know, pre-production work having to go into the actual system. You're going to be able to get better battery life purely from, you know, being able to attach V-mounts and larger batteries and not being stuck with these little baby NPS inside of here.